Hey everybody, Mugiwaravids here, and so today I have something that I think is kind of interesting. I'm sure people have made videos about it before, but it's something I really wanted to talk about for one reason or another. It's just a topic I think is really cool, and that is, or at least it's going to be my personal top 10 villains of One Piece. And when I say villains, I don't necessarily mean villains, because some of the characters are ones that have shown back up in the story and may or may not be all that either dangerous anymore, or they are even doing things to help Luffy and the Straw Hats. So, with that being said, not necessarily villains, but they are people who have either fought the Straw Hats at one point in the story, or have, gotten in their way, or, just didn't like them. So not all of them are huge threats. I can think of a couple off the top of my head that some people are probably going to laugh at when they hear in this list, but that's totally fine because I still love some of these characters. I mean, I like all these characters, but some of them specifically are going to be really fun to talk about. So yeah, the video is going to be my top 10 villains, resolved villains maybe, of the One Piece story. So let's get started. Okay, so the order that I'm doing this is going to be going from 10 to 1, and 10 being the least favorite, in my opinion, of these villains, and 1 being my favorite villain out of the list. So let me get my handy dandy list going here, and then we can get started. So I'm also going to do a little honorable mention part at the end. I have a couple heroes that I like, but are maybe not worthy of the list. So yeah, number 10. Let's get started. Is going to be Wobble. Now I say Wobble because he wasn't very threatening, but Wobble was like the first guy that was just a real piece of shit. Like, I mean, at least Arlong and some of the other ones had like motivations for what they were doing. Waffle was just like a piece of shit, and he like ran away when Blackbeard and his crew attacked the island, and just like didn't even put up a fight. Huge bitch, just like he's the worst. Like, and he's just a piece of crap. So that's why I chose Wobble for my number 10. And even his devil fruit is just ridiculous. Like, it's not even like that threatening. He eats stuff. Okay, sick, Wobble. Like, I guess you, I don't know, eat a bench, like in that cover story, and ooh, you ate the bench, Wobble, I'm so scared. I don't know. But I chose him because he wasn't a huge threat, but he was just like a genuine, he was like the first villain that I was like, wow, there's nothing even cool about this guy. Like, it's not redeemable at all. He's just a piece of shit, and I hate him so much. So that's why I chose Wobble for my number 10 pick. Okay, so my number 9 pick, the big 9, is going to be Arlong. And I chose Arlong because he was one of the first real threats, I want to say, to Luffy. Don Krieg kind of was, but not to the same extent. I think the whole Fishman aspect of it being 10 times stronger than normal human added a lot of it, at least to the reader, from my opinion, a lot to the intensity of the fight. You're like, oh shit, Luffy's going up against someone who, like, is, at least due to the lore of the story, is exceptionally stronger than him. Don Krieg was stronger, but no, he wasn't even stronger. He just had all these weird weapons, like his gas, and then the like spiked bullets in that net that he whipped out and got Luffy with. So I don't really think Don Krieg was on the same tier as Arlong was. Arlong was somebody who, like, you really didn't want to fuck with. And Arlong also had the whole enslaving an island of people thing, making them pay, I believe it was 100,000 berries for an adult and 50,000 berries for a kid every month or something, or he kills them. And it's just like, dude, you fucking scumbag. Like, bro, you were the worst. Obviously, it was a huge arc for Nami as well, because Arlong has pretty much had her as his slave since she was like, I forget how old she was. I want to say like somewhere between 5 and 8, something like that. But yeah, so Arlong is my number 9 pick. Alright, now my number 8 pick, a lot of people I think are going to laugh at, but I'll explain why I chose him for number 8, and that is MrThree. Okay, get your laughs out of the way. I know MrThree is kind of ridiculous, his stupid hair, and how later in the story he ends up helping Luffy, and actually, if it wasn't for MrThree, Ace wouldn't have ever gotten out of his handcuffs. Granted, Ace did get killed. Spoiler if you haven't gotten that far, I guess, but yeah. Without MrThree, that would have not happened. But even though MrThree wasn't exactly that threatening later in the story, he actually put up a decent fight against Luffy. He had that like giant commander like candle suit that he made, and people forget that he almost killed Zoro, Nami, and Vivi, I believe, in his candle set thing that was like spinning and getting wax stuck in the lungs and like freezing them in place. Not freezing them, but I guess waxing them in place or whatever you want to call it. And they almost all died. Zoro was trying to cut his legs off to get out. It's like, what is going on here? Like, this guy with the stupid hair is like almost snuffing out the entire crew. Granted, there wasn't that many of them at the time, but still, like, MrThree almost killed the Straw Hats. A lot of people forget that. So, I'm going with MrThree for my number 8 pick. Alright, making our way to lucky number 7. And number 7 is another character who, now in the story, is actually really funny and is almost primarily used for comic relief. And that is Caesar Clown, or Gastino. But I chose him because he was one of the first villains in the New World that actually posed some sort of threat to the Straw Hats. And primarily Luffy, obviously. I'm pretty sure he knocks Luffy out with his stupid gas or whatever it is at one point. And even Zoro, when Luffy is running to go fight him, is like, yo, Luffy, you need to, like, get your crap together here. We're in the New World. These people are actually a threat now. Like, don't screw around thinking that, oh, everything's going to be fine. Like, these are the big leagues. Like, get it together. And his fight with Luffy was kind of cool. He did the Grizzly Magnum thing for the first time, and that was cool to see. But other than that, I don't think that Caesar was too huge of a threat to Luffy. But still, it was a pretty decent fight to watch, and he was doing some pretty awful things, like doing all those like testing on the little kids, the giganticism that Big Mom wanted, and being a part of the whole Smile or Smiley, SMLE, however you want to pronounce it, production. So yeah, he was doing some shady shit, some stuff that should, like, no one should ever be doing, making like weapons of mass destruction. And then he even like nuked all of Punk Hazard with that gas at the end. It's just like, dude, this dude is crazy. Like, he's a scumbag. But granted, now he's not a huge threat. He's used primarily for comic relief, especially in the whole Cake Island arc. It's actually really funny, some of the stuff they do to him, especially the scene when they're all leaving to ransack the Tea Party, and Nami and Chopper turn around and they're like, yeah, he's the worst kind of scum. But yeah, Caesar Clown, number 7. Alright, number 6. So my number 6 pick is going to be Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates. And as much of a disappointment as the Syrup Village arc was, at least in my opinion, it was actually really hard to get through for me watching it in the anime. I started off as an anime-only watcher, and I did not really like this arc. Maybe it was because I didn't really like Usopp at first. I thought he was kind of annoying, to be totally honest. But regardless, Kuro of the Black Hat Pirates, and I chose him because he was the cold, calculating son of a bitch. And he spent, I think it was 2 or 3 years, like, getting in good graces with Kaya's family, just so he could, like, fuck them all over and take their money later in the end. And it's like, dude, you such a scumbag. And then, even when he was fighting, that technique that he used, the silent whatever it is, I can't really remember, when he was just like indiscriminately attacking his own teammates and Luffy, it's just like, dude, this guy does not care about anything but himself. He's just a cold-hearted son of a bitch, and so that is why I chose him. He also, it was a pretty cool fight. He was just like talking shit to Usopp the whole time, and he was a pretty good villain, just because of how like just evil he was, and that's why I chose him. He wasn't as much of a threat as Caesar was or anything like that, because Caesar's obviously a Logia and a gas Logia and all that, but still, Kuro the Black Hat Pirates. All right, so now we're getting into the top 5 here, and this is when the villains start to get like serious villains of the story. So yeah, number 5, my 5 pick is Eneru, or NL, whatever translation or sub, dub, whatever you're reading, listening to, watching. Eneru, as I'd call him. Dude, badass motherfucker. I believe it was Oda or somebody said if he wasn't doing his whole thing on Skypiea trying to be God, he would have a bounty of 500 million. So that's Luffy's current bounty in the story. And that's pretty scary stuff, because this was like one of the very early arcs in the story. Obviously before the time skip. And it was Skypiea, the pacing in that arc was kind of slow, but Eneru as a villain was just rough, because he was just this scumbag guy who like took over and was trying to have people worship him. And he could, first of all, he was the first villain, I believe, to demonstrate Haki. They called it Mantra at the time, so that's something that made him a pretty big threat in the beginning. It was only observation Haki. All his priests could do it, and so could he. And that's when Luffy had to do that, like, idiot, Gummy Gummy no idiot thing, when he just, like, stopped thinking when he was fighting, and that was a pretty funny scene. But, Eneru was just, he was just a bastard. He like loved himself and was just a scumbag, pretty much feeding off the fears of all the people on the island, thinking he was God, and that ability he used, and he could just like indiscriminately bring lightning down and like destroy like half an island. It's just like, come on, dude, scumbag. But Eneru, number 5, and he was a real good enemy, and he is still like alive, so who knows. I kind of hope he shows up again somewhere in the story. I don't think he'll be an ally, but I don't know what Oda will do with him. Hopefully he shows up again, because I liked him a lot as a enemy. But he is my number 5 pick, Eneru. Alright, big number 4. 4 is none other than Rob Lucci. I mean, how can you not be picking Rob Lucci in a top 10 villains list? This guy was just a bad-ass motherfucker. So, CP9, the leader of it, and, man, I'm just dinging all over the place right now. That's my DoorDash order, got some food coming. But, regardless, Rob Lucci, head of the CP9, and this dude is just nothing to be messed with. The leopard type, I believe, Zone Devil Fruit, where he becomes even more bloodthirsty after he transforms. And this guy is such a scumbag that he was undercover at the Galila, however you want to pronounce it, company for 5 years, pretending to be a shipwright so he could get intel and do his like evil mission to try and steal Pluton, or the blueprints of it. And it's just like, dude, this guy is nothing to be messed with. And in the current story, he got promoted. He's now in CP0, I believe. And him and that stupid pigeon of his are still going around. I think he will definitely show up in the story again. I want to see him fight Luffy again. But who knows. With that being said, I believe he was the first villain to ever force Luffy to go into Gear 3. And that's when he like punched his huge giant arm through the wall of the building that he was fighting him in, and he was one of the villains who really pressed Luffy. Luffy was struggling for a while to beat Rob Lucci, and I think he was one of the other villains that had those like couple. I know one villain who had it was like Crocodile, who had a couple encounters with Luffy before he finally beat him, and would just like put him down every time before. Obviously, they finally win at Enies Lobby. So. Rob Lucci, number 4. Hopefully we'll see him again. I think we will. But yeah, he's a badass. a scary, scary badass. Alright, so my number 3 pick, yes, number 3, had to check my list there for a second. This guy's not even a villain, really. He was just a guy who was, like, trying to do his job. And that is Magellan. And if anybody was actually the villain in this case, it would have been Luffy, to be straight up honest. Because he broke into Impel Down and was releasing all these level 6 prisoners and doing all these things that you should probably not be doing. But regardless, Magellan, I chose him because he never actually lost to Luffy, if you think about it. He actually fucked Luffy up, and if it wasn't for Ivankov, Luffy would have died. Straight up, that's all there is to it. Magellan would have killed Luffy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that is why I chose him. Obviously he didn't, because of Ivankov, and because he's the main character of the story. You can't just off him like that. But Magellan, and he hasn't been said to be a Logia, but he was like covering his body in poison, or whatever his like poisoned elephant is absolutely insane, and you do not want to mess with this guy. The like Hydra thing he did, where he had the like hydras of poison attacking Luffy, and it's just like, oh my god, like this dude is just so cool. So I really like Magellan, and again, he was just a guy trying to do his job at the end of the day, and he honestly got the short end of the stick. I really liked his character, especially in comparison to the Warden, who was just the worst. Or not the Warden, the Vice Warden or whatever his name is. The guy with like the Egyptian hat. His name's escaped me right now. But regardless, number 3, Magellan. Remember it. Don't forget it. Alright, so my number 2 pick is another character who has shown up in the story again, and who has now helped Luffy, but also was a character who fought Luffy 3 times and beat him twice. Luffy only won the 3rd time because he like finally figured out how to fight him. But that is none other than Crocodile. And I believe the 2nd time they fought, Crocodile stabbed him with that hook, and it's, again, if Luffy was not the main character, he would have died. Like, he's like bleeding out the chest and then got like thrown in the dirt and just buried with sand. I'm pretty sure if it was Robin who actually helped him, or at least didn't kill him at that point. But Crocodile was just evil. He's shows some parallels with my number 1 villain, but I don't want to talk about that yet. I don't want to give it away before I get there. So Crocodile, and again, he taking over a country, pretending to be the hero of this country. Also, he can just like take it over from the inside. Is just so evil. Like, you gotta love him though. And as he was doing all of it, get a country and get a super weapon, Pluton. I believe it was Pluton. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, Crocodile, you evil bastard. But he was a great villain. I love his devil fruit, how he can just dry things out. It's like, you don't mess with this guy. He will just fuck you up. I'm like fanboying so hard. But Crocodile, one of my favorite villains in all of One Piece, and he was just such a cool character. Even like his characterization, the scars on his face, and his voice in the anime is so good. The Japanese, I don't watch the dubs because the voice acting is just trash compared to the subs. So Crocodile, my number 2 pick. Alright, time for the numero uno pick. And that is none other than Do Flamingo. I mean, come on, who else would it have been? He is so evil on so many levels. Conqueror's Hockey, the string fruit, that damn bird cage that he makes that literally encompasses an entire island and then kills everybody in it, cutting buildings in half. The fact that he took over Dressrosa by manipulating the king and his army to kill people and then pretend to come in and be the hero that everybody loves. Oh, just so evil. Such a bastard. Such a good character. Again, that devil fruit of his is just insane. Being able to stitch your body back together after Law used that gamma knife on him, like, come on. Come on, dude. Absolutely insane. And he is just, he got played up for, I forget when he was first introduced to the story, but it was years and years and years until Oda finally gave him his arc. His arc being the longest of any arc in all of One Piece, and it's just the Dressrosa arc. It got a little drawn out, but I love Doflamingo so much, and just all of the evil shit that he does, that I was totally fine with it. They could have gone on for another 50 episodes of just Doflamingo being a bastard, and I would have just ate it up, because he's just too cool. Not even cool, because he's so evil, but oh my god. I'm like speechless thinking about this guy. How he has Sugar turn all these people into toys and erase their memories so he can like rule over the place. Just Doflamingo, dude. Oh my god. I'm fanboying so much harder than I did over Crocodile. I can't even talk. But his fight with Luffy, absolutely amazing. How he pretty much manipulated Bellamy without even trying. And he's like, Bellamy, I released you, but you were always free. Like, I never gave a fuck about you, Bellamy. Like, you can do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. And it's just like, oh my god, this dude is so evil. But that just made him such a good character. Even in his flashback when he was like pinned to the wall, him and his dad and his brother, and he's like, I'm gonna kill all of you people when I'm older. And he uses Conqueror's Haki for the first time, and you're like, oh shit. Then he kills his brother, and he's just, oh my god, this dude, Corazon, why? But, goddamn, Doflamingo, #1 pick, for sure. Gotta love him. With that being said, that's it. It's Doflamingo. That's the end of my video. That's all I got for you. So, come back when I upload another one. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it won't suck. But yeah, I like doing top 10 videos, so I'll probably do a couple more of these. But yeah, have a good one, and I'll see y'all later. So, just kidding, I totally forgot that I had some honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about. One of them is going to be Gecko Moria. I chose him because... mostly because he's the reason we got to see that amazing scene with Zoro when he took in all of Luffy's pain and exhaustion after his fight with Gecko Moria. The fight itself was alright. The Nightmare Luffy thing I wasn't really a big fan of. I thought it was kind of stupid. But, it was enough to mention, mostly because, other than the thing with Zoro, that he was a warlord, and that was one of the 3 warlords, I think, now that they've taken out. So yeah. But #2, my honorable mention, is honestly one of my favorite characters in the entire show, and that is Buggy. I love Buggy. I chose him, 1, because at first they like tried to make him seem like kind of scary, at least in the anime or the manga they did, which is pretty funny. There was a couple like silhouetted pictures of him, and then just knowing his backstory now and all the things about him, I just can't take him seriously, and I love him. He's 99% comic relief now, but he's the man. I love Buggy. I just needed to tell somebody about Buggy, so Buggy's the man. Don't forget it. But his fruit is actually kind of cool. It's kind of cool he can fly and everything, but he wasn't a huge threat. But he kind of fucked up Zoro. When Zoro was just like, what the fuck, I cut you, why are you still alive? And then he like shanks him. But again, early in the story, Zoro now would obviously destroy Buggy, but Buggy now is just too funny. He's got all these people, all the Impel Down prisoners who thinks he's amazing, and the Buggy delivery system. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Now I'm actually going to say goodbye. So have a good one, everybody. See you later.